Well, welcome. This channel is all about looking after your own well-being, because that's what I'm trying to do this year. I'm a principal of a high school and I'm flat out all the time, and the one thing I've never really been able to get a full handle on is looking after my own well-being positively. I'm exhausted every day, people are at me all day long, and it just never ends, and I walk out the gate at the end of the day, too late mind you, usually 2 hours later than I plan, and I am emotionally out. I've usually only got 2 or 3 emotional energy levels out of 10. I always score it out of 10, and I'm usually at a 2 or a 3 at the end of the day, and I'm just spent and I've got nothing left, and I can't then work on anything I want to do. I can't get on with anything in my life. I can't devote myself to the things I like to do, which is renovating and sculpting and a few other things, making this channel, because I've been too bloody exhausted. So I've decided that I have to do an experiment, and my experiment is on myself to start with, and my experiment is, if I look after my own well-being levels, and I mean the emotional well-being levels, and if I try to keep it at a 7 out of 10 or higher, and really live my life. Obviously, if you're not living your life, you're not going to be able to keep your emotional energy levels up, are you? So the plan is, if I really live my life and I really prioritise keeping my emotional energy level 7 out of 10 or higher throughout the day, every day, I wonder, as a side note, will I lose weight? Now, on that point, and this might be the bit where you decide to go off my channel, that's up to you, but on that point, I had been on diets from the age of 4 to the age, for 44 years basically. That was a lot of dieting, and I could never follow my body and what it wanted to do. I couldn't exercise the way I wanted to. I was always on a diet, I was always on a plan. Now, I was a bodybuilder, and for 28 years I bodybuilt during that time, and I ended up getting to this level. So you have a look at the pictures now. This is what I did get to. That was in the year 2020, and that was a year of absolutely killing myself. It was about the 6th time I'd competed, I think, roughly, and 2020 was a stupid year to do it. And thankfully I passed out at work in the last week before I was due to compete in my final competition, and that was it for me. No more competing for me at all, no more bodybuilding, no more anything. I was so traumatised I couldn't walk into a gym, and 4 years later I'm here. Now, of course, the normal thing is to rebound the weight, which I did, and this whole channel is not about weight, it is about well-being, because I had prioritised my body, I had prioritised exercise, I had prioritised food, and had not prioritised a damn thing about me and my life, which is the point, isn't it? Isn't the point to actually live your life? And I find that so many people prioritise losing the weight and getting their cardios in and going to the gym and counting those calories and everything. Yeah, but what about your life? So my experiment is going to be, number 1, looking after my own well-being and trying to keep my well-being levels 7 out of 10 or higher, which is absurd if you know me. If you know me, I can't do it. Normally, I can only do a 2 or 3 out of 10 by the end of every day, because I'm so friggin' exhausted. So this wellbeing channel is about looking after your well-being practically. It's not bubble baths, and it's not meditating, and it's not all of that stuff, because all that's nice and fluffy and going for massages, yeah, but what about looking after your well-being on a daily basis, moment to moment, when you're working, when you're busy, when you're bombarded by a million things, when you've got priorities and they're all competing at once? That's what this entire thing is about. So this is the side note of that, though, is I'm wondering, because not only am I a high school principal, but I'm also a science teacher. So scientifically, I'm going to test, can you lose weight as a side note by keeping your well-being levels really high and living your life, because you're living your life which is keeping your well-being levels high, right? So this is the experiment that I'm about to undertake, and I'm wondering whether you want to follow it or even join in the experiment, because good scientific method actually usually has more than one person, but all good scientists usually start with themselves, don't they? So I'm going to start here. If you'd like to join, that's totally up to you. Message me and maybe you can do it too, to see if you only prioritise your well-being and do the exercise that you feel like doing, and do and eat the things that you feel like eating. I've been intuitively eating for the last 4 years, and thank God for that. I eat whatever I want, as much as I want, whenever I want. And yes, I did blow up from a size 8 when I competed, but that was starving myself to death for 14 months straight, and having dieted for 44 years before that. Don't do that, that's stupid. So obviously I rebounded, which is quite normal, because the body in caveman days, if there wasn't enough resources around, you got really skinny, and the body says, oh my God, that's really unsafe, so that the next time that there's food, I'm going to stash even more on your body so that it's safer the next time that there's a famine. And that is the reason why we put all the weight back on. It is not rocket science. That is just how we survived. That's how our ancestors gave us our genetics, because they survived when there was not much food, and when there was winter and there wasn't much to eat. So these are the genetics that we have. But I'm wondering now, these days, do people just overeat because they are not actually actively living their lives and they're not prioritising their own well-being? And I don't mean to neglect areas of your life. I don't mean to neglect your kids, and I've got kids too. I don't mean to neglect your work and all that kind of stuff. And yes, I do believe you should follow your passions and purpose and everything, but so many of us maybe don't. We're too busy going to work, getting our exercise done, counting our calories, and just going through the mundane, and we're not actually doing the things to live our lives. So I'm about to have this experiment. We're going to see whether I can keep my emotional energy levels 7 out of 10 or higher on a daily basis, and I'll be sharing with you all the techniques that I have learned and developed along the way, but now I have to put them into practical use to keep myself up there. So that is what this whole channel is all about. So that is what we're going to be working on, is can this work? Now, well-being is the priority. The weight loss, who cares? It's about the well-being is the priority, and looking after our well-being when we're busy people. I'm an executive person, and I am flat knacker all day long, every day. At the end of last term, I was so busted, and I mean out. It took me 4 weeks before I could even consider doing anything that I actually wanted to do, because I was so emotionally spent that I couldn't do anything else. So the aim of the game is to not have that happen anymore. The aim of the game is actually try to look after my well-being, so that daily, and actually leave work on time, which I've not been able to get myself to do, no matter how I've approached it. When my alarms go off, I'm still there. I've even worded up people to say, I'm going to be leaving at this time, make sure that I do. And they've even tried, and yet I've still got sucked into work, and I still have been there for hours longer than I should. So the idea is to leave work on time so I can actually have time to live a life after work. I make huge sculptures, that's what I do, and I wanted to make this channel for you, and I love renovating. So these are the parts of the areas of my life that I'd like to work on in my living section, and also spending more time with friends. I hope to be able to help you with your well-being as well along the way, not just the surface stuff, but the real deep stuff where it actually matters about how you feel every single day, and how you act and behave in order to help your own well-being all throughout the day, every day, not just when you come home and have a bubble bath. Now, this channel is called Shelley's Way because my name is Shelley Way. How about that? So let's see whether Shelley's Way is actually going to work to improve the areas of your life while you improve your well-being. Now, scientifically, I should probably show you before photos. So here are some before photos of me. That's me now. And also I'm going to show you my measurements. These are my measurements. These are the last ones I took. So scientifically you can actually see that's that. And it's currently, what is it? It's January, shivers. January 2025, what's the date today? Must look at my phone because I'm on school holidays. January 24, so it's January 24 in Australia, and I still have 2 weeks before I go back to school. Yes. So that is what I'm going to be focusing on. Now you've seen the before photos. Scientifically, that's important because you can actually see whether I've lost anything at all or not. We'll give it about 6 months, I reckon, to see if this actually impacts. Maybe it'll take 12 months, who knows. By the way, I don't weigh myself. That was too triggering for me after all of those years of dieting and measuring myself and weighing myself. I just can't. Now you might be wondering, okay, what exercise do I do now? Well, I usually get up in the morning and about 5-6 times a week. I usually do about half an hour. Either I jog on the treadie or I walk on the treadie usually. And then my body has now probably allowed me back in the gym. I was so traumatised I couldn't get back in the gym. I physically couldn't walk into one. But now my body is starting to trust me. And when I go to the gym, I mean, I'm only there for 20-25 minutes doing a single circuit. That's it. That's nothing much. And so I've probably been able to build up to 3 times a week now. Maybe I'll get to 4 if I'm lucky over the next 6 months. But that's it. So my exercise won't change. That's basically what I'm doing. So scientifically, that's important too, because you don't change anything else but one thing. And the one thing I'm going to be changing is actually prioritising my well-being. Not just saying I'm going to prioritise my well-being, but actually prioritising my well-being.